Hello, everyone. Coming to you with a couple of tips and reminders as you get ready to use Camo Studio for your mediated live shows. Quick overview. Remember, we have on the left side of the menu here all of our camera options, and you can play around with some effects to soften the background or add more lighting, retouching. You can also play around with the framing to zoom in or out on a specific scene. Then we have our audio options. So happy to meet with you one-on-one if you're having any trouble with the audio, but essentially I've added my microphone as a source and I've added my system audio as a source here too with this plus sign so that when I connect to Zoom, whatever I play on my computer will come through on the other end on Zoom. Then these are all the layers of the particular scene that I'm on. But it's a little tricky because to get to the scene, I have to be on the camera if I want to switch scenes, right? If I want to switch scenes, I have to be in this first menu of the left menu panel, the camera icon, if I want to switch scenes. But once I'm in a scene, and you can tell which one's selected by the purple border on it, like over here, to get to what's inside this scene, I go to this third tab on the left menu, which is the stacks, the layers. And you can see that I have this image because the purple box goes around it. I can rename it so that things are a little cleaner and easier for me to use. I can also hide them, but just to keep it simple, I have that image. I have an image that I brought in rather than text. But then I also have this welcome that's here. So you can bring in text as an image. You can add it as a regular text file. So I just wanted to show you that. Just want to hide that for now. And then Camlink 4K is my camera. So this is the camera source. And then I also have a background that I brought in. So if you click on the background layer and you go to now to the right menu panel, you can choose to fill it with color. You can choose to bring in an image or a video from the gallery. So if we wanted to change this, come into the gallery, and there are some presets in here, but then I added my own as well. And you can do that by this plus sign here. Okay, so this is also where you can play around with filters and scenes, but this is where you would add, how you would add a background. So you can add different things to your scenes: text, images, rectangles, circles, video sources, and screen capture. Screen capture is the same thing as saying a screen share. I'll come back to that in just a second. But let's go back to our scenes. The presentation screen default that comes in will look like this. A lot of you guys will be familiar from this from previous speeches or from planning, but don't use the default because these neon green and dark green situation may not match your branding and the look should be cohesive. So I designed one that looks like this. Let's go to the layers tab so we can see. I've got my background that I brought in the way that I showed you before by that background image that I got. And I used Canva to create the image and then I bring it in. I have a screen capture where I'm sharing my keynote slide deck here. Then the video source, which is me on the camera angle. And then I've got an image that is hidden. I should probably delete that. This would be a good time to just go ahead and delete that image. And you can tell it's hidden because it's grayed out compared to the other ones that are white. So let's just clean up and delete stuff I don't need. And then I've got the speaking skills text. All right, so you can see I've got 4 elements here. And I could bring in more if I want to, but that's more than enough. So on this scene, let's go back to our scenes. So let's say at the start of the show, welcome, it's me, front and center. But then when I want to share something, I now have my presentation screen and I can also see my keynote file up here. So if you're going to use Google Slides or PowerPoint, whatever you're going to do the same thing, just make sure that when you are running the slideshow, you are running it in window mode. And all of them have this: PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides. You want to play in a separate window rather than full screen. Otherwise, when you click play presentation, it takes over everything and then you'll be like, what the heck? So just make sure that you're playing it in window mode. I want to give you a few other ideas too. So you can play around with all kinds of things. Like this could be when I talk about the spotlight effect, right? You can share a concept and then come back to you wouldn't come back to a welcome scene. You would design a different scene. But just as an example, you could come back to this scene, which is, let's say this is going to be my main scene. For the majority of the show, this is the one that I'm on when I'm not specifically showing something. Or maybe I'm the host and I want to tell you what we're talking about today. So here's our game plan. We're going to talk about virtual cameras, why virtual cameras matter, and then I want you to meet my friend Camo. So you can use this as an idea too. Then another scene, let's say you're going to leave it blank and you're going to collect some ideas from the chat. So you pop in a scene like this, but you can also see the visual unity between this scene and this scene because my brand colors are the same. My font is the same. I'm using the coffee imagery that's similar. Another type of scene you can create is something like this. This is me and one of my best friends in the whole world. We met at Rutgers, and this is a photo I took of us a few years ago where we're actually at Henry's Diner here. And as you can see, she's very much taller than me, right? She's a very tall woman. I'm a shorty. And so, when I'm just talking about the power of perspective is, you can't tell who's tall or who's not, but then this is the reality. And, you can share some images. Maybe you want to explain to us, give us a little anecdote or a story behind that. But shout out to Marsha, one of my besties. Or you can also share some imagery. And, this is, let's say, you want to talk about some authors or some testimonials, and you can show their images and then maybe even pop in a little quote from them. So there's lots of different ways you can put thank you messages on there. You can do all kinds of fun things with Camo. So just make sure you're designing your scenes. Now, I showed you a lot of scenes. You do not have to design this many scenes at all. I would be very happy if you had 3 or 4 scenes per person designed. One being your main scene, where there could be some imagery on here, but you are front and center, and we need to see you in full mode like this at least 50% of the show. And then only screen sharing content for the other 50% whenever you need to. Whoever needs to be talking, sharing some imagery, some concepts. Okay, so remember, say no to the green default lines unless that's a part of your brand. But enjoy, get creative, have some fun, and let me know how I can help you. All right, guys, have fun, enjoy. Oh, wait, one last tip. Remember that Camo assigns shortcut keys, Command 1, Command 2, Command 3, or if you're on a Windows, it'll be Control 1, Control 2, Control 3. So I know let's go to I just switched scenes, but this scene for me is going to be my main scene. So I just remember anytime I need to come back to that, I hit Command 5 using Camo. I have to have Camo visible in order for Command 5 to work, but you will have that since you'll be running it on your show. That is a quick way to switch scenes as well. All right, now I'm out. Have a great week.